Welcome back, learners. So now we're just going to do a quick recap of what we went through throughout this entire lesson. So we started by, number one, breaking our main concept being the general reaction of an acid with a metal hydroxide. Within that, we looked at what a metal hydroxide is and how it is formed. We further went on to look at now how do we predict the name of the salt that is formed when an acid reacts with a metal hydroxide. What happens when an acid donates its hydrogen, and then what happens when that metal hydroxide donates its hydroxide, being the OH. So the H from the acid and the OH from the metal hydroxide reacting together forms the water, and the remainder gives us the salt. Then now, what we also went through, what we also did throughout this lesson was to now use certain words to better explain or to better now understand this entire lesson, whereby we use words such as an acid and then the base and then lastly the pH value. I'm sure by now we know how to describe what an acid is, also describe what a base is, and also know what the pH value is. What does it do for us? Furthermore, what I then need you to take away from this lesson, the very important things that I want you to always remember about this lesson, these are the following things. Number one, I want you to remember that the pH of the metal hydroxide, once it is dissolved in water, the pH is going to be above 7. And we know that once the pH of a substance is above 7, it means that substance is basic, or it is a base. And remember that again, whenever you move away from 7 towards 14, the stronger the substance becomes. So if we are looking at a base, then the stronger the base becomes as you're moving towards 14. So the strongest base has a pH of 14. And the strongest acid has a pH of 0. And if the pH of a substance is around 7, like for instance 8 for a weak base, it's going to be 6 for a weak acid. If it's around 7, then it's weak. Should it be at 7, then it's a neutral substance. Then number 2, all salts can be produced from the reaction between an acid and a base. So the salts, they can be produced whenever an acid reacts with a base. Remember again that reaction between an acid and a base can be regarded as a neutralization reaction only if the strength of the acid complements the strength of the base. So they should both be either strong acid and a strong base, or a weak acid and a weak base, for that reaction to be regarded as a neutralization reaction, because the product is going to be determined by the strength of either the acid or the base. Should the base be a strong between the two, between the acid and the base, should the base be strong, then the product is going to be more basic. Should the acid be strong, then the product is going to be more acidic. But should they be complementing each other, both of them being either strong or weak, then the product is going to be a neutral substance, hence the neutralization reaction. So for it to be neutralization reaction, it depends on the strength of the acid and the base. And obviously, the obvious one will always have the water as the byproduct of this particular reaction. Number 3, metal hydroxides, they are formed during a reaction of a metal with water. So when a metal reacts with water, it forms a metal hydroxide. Or when a soluble metal oxide reacts with water, we can still form our metal hydroxide. Remember that all the hydroxides have the OH. That it can donate to an acid to form the water. And then now, we also need to remember that the metal hydroxides, they are bases, but then remember, because most of them are solids, once they are dissolved in water, we can then test for their pH to tell if whether they are acidic or basic. Remember, for you to test a substance or to tell if a substance is either acidic or basic, we are not going to taste it. We are going to use an indicator to check if whether the substance is acidic or basic. We can use a litmus paper and check the color change. From blue to red, we know that the substance is acidic. From red to blue, if the litmus paper changes from red to blue, we know that the substance is basic. So then, the questions that I've answered for you, they are enough. Now I want you to answer this question for me. The question is, what type of bases are metal carbonates? We said that the metal hydroxides, they are bases. Now, what type of bases are metal carbonates? Are they strong bases or are they weak bases? What type are they? So now, for you to answer this question, you need to go back to this lesson and then go through what we went through and then try to understand what happens when an acid reacts with a carbonate. So then from there, you can be able to tell if whether a metal carbonate is either a strong base or a weak base. So until I see you next time, bye.